Hi, welcome to the Small Scape. I'm Joanna and just got done scaping this tank. Thought that I would take you along for a quick tour because it addresses a couple of my last videos that I've done with both Anubias and crypts and attaching Anubias. So let's take a look at this real fast. So I have recently just scaped this, actually New Year's Eve. What a great way to spend New Year's Eve. I scaped this 40 breeder, and first of all, the backdrop, you'll notice, that's a purchased backdrop from Universal Rock, and it adds a whole lot of texture in the back without adding a lot of weight. Then we have a lot of, basically, I would call them just river rocks, boulders, very soft rocks, and a lot of planting, which I have talked recently about in my last two videos. You'll notice a lot of Anubias. Most of it is Anubias nana, Anubias nana petite, and there's actually one single Anubias congensis. We have a lot of crypts, so I do like both of these plants in a lot of my scapes. They're very easy and user-friendly. Along the back, I've also added Vallisneria, which we really like, especially for these backdrops. It's nice to put a backdrop also of these tall plants because they do get very tall. In the middle here we do have Corkscrew Val, which adds a very fun texture. I do like how it turned out with the wood too, which was kind of a stinker to get it to stay down. Wood does want to float, especially this spider wood, and it is wedged in with these rocks. Now, some of these spider woods I would have preferred to put slightly in different places, but to get it to keep from floating, you really do have to wedge it under very heavy rocks. Now, I did attempt to somewhat camouflage the sponge filter, which is what I really do like to do, but with these size rocks and getting a scape that's somewhat decent looking, you can only camouflage it so much. And as the jungle val grows up around it, I hope it will somewhat mask it. Now, I will put a link for my Anubias attaching video because I used all three methods for this scape because there are a number of Anubias in this scape. I probably used 6 or 7 of them, mostly using the wedge method. So there's a lot of nooks and crannies for spider wood that I was able to just kind of wedge the rhizome in. But don't be surprised if you do that and you fill up your tank and they start floating. It can, and it was very frustrating, but you just have to go back in and re-wedge it sometimes, especially if you're having to deal with a sponge filter that's floating or anything else in the tank. You may actually have to re-wedge it or even re-superglue it, which you can actually superglue something underwater. It is a little bit more challenging, but keep that in mind, you can do that. I also used wire on a number of these, and I think it worked out okay. They're not really securely attached, but that's fine because as the Anubias grows, the roots will grow and attach on whatever it is closest to. The sand is Carib Sea. This color sand is really growing on me. I'm not a real fan of the very light colored sand because it does not, especially in a heavily stocked tank, it does show a lot of debris. But this is a very natural color, especially with the color rocks in the background that we have. It's a very somewhat monotone looking tank. So when we added these fish, like these beautiful angelfish, I think they really kind of show up very nicely against the muted background. And then the rasbora hets that we added also look really kind of cute schooling around together. We also added a beautiful blue spot pleco. And there are a number of little assassin snails. I really don't like the Malaysian trumpet snails. I'm not a big fan, but since we have them in most of our tanks in this fish room, they eventually do get in here. So those assassin snails will be in there all ready to go when they do show up. Now, we were able to immediately add the fish after setting up this tank because we did add a nitrifying bacteria, which is Fritzyme 7 is what we like to use in the fish room, and it works great. It gets the tank up and running almost immediately after setting up your tank, and then you can go ahead and add the fish, and it works out great for us. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing this tank that we just recently scaped. I look forward to bringing you some more scapes and plant videos, so stay tuned for that, and I hope you are having a good day.